guys, welcome back to the Inshore Journal. I'm here with Captain Mark House, and today we are nearshore fishing for gray trout. We're jigging off of Carolina Beach and Masonburg Island. And Mark, it's a beautiful day today, and you know, the fish seem like they're schooled up outside. We've been out here the last couple of days and really gotten on them. So now that we've gotten back in here to the studio, tell us a little bit about our trip today.
They were snapping, that was for sure, and you put us right on the fish. We probably caught, gosh, what would you say? I just would even hate to put a number on how many.
2 hours of fishing, and we were getting hit 4 or 5 times by the time, you know, the bait, by the time you flip the bell, you're already getting hits on these jigs. So, I mean, it was nonstop.
It really was, and it was just such a beautiful day. The ocean was just greased up. I mean, it just was, it just doesn't get any better than it was.
Yeah, out there in a 20-foot flats boat, no freeboard, and I mean, it was just as calm as it could be, and the fish, like Mark said, were so schooled up. As soon as we got out there and I saw them on the sonar, I was like, there they are. And I mean, it didn't take 2 drops, we were already double hooked up. And the only thing I would say is we started the day out inside speckled trout fishing and caught some speckled trout. We really didn't have any gear we weren't really prepared to go near shore, but the water was so beautiful outside, man. I could see it from the inlet when we went by, and I was like, man, we have got to go out there and do some jigging. I just happened to have a few jigs on the boat, using the same rods we were using for speckled trout, a little bit lighter than what we usually use,
Right.
Medium light action stuff, and man, it didn't matter. The only thing that would have helped is if we'd have had a little bit heavier jigs, you know, than what we had. I had 3/4 ounce jigs we were jigging, and the bluefish were getting us every time it would come off the bottom about a couple feet.
Yeah, they were in the column. It was really unique how they were just 3 foot. If you got in that column, that's where the bluefish were at. I mean, they would chew you up, and yeah. So yeah, a little heavier would have got us to the bottom a little quicker, but nonetheless, it was still a very, very fun day.
Yeah. Well, let's get back to the action, guys.
Gray trout, man, they're a real hardy fish. Yeah, you know, I mean, you know that when you release them, they're going to live.
The key is getting them in there quick.
Yeah.
Get that single hook out, and that single hook allows you to get that quick release. You're right. If you release them quick, you see those things just dart straight to the bottom. But in this cool weather too, man, they're really hardy in this cool weather. Every fish is. I wanted to clean a flounder a couple weeks ago, Mark. I took him out of the water because I don't like to clean a fish alive.
Well, you and I both are talking about that.
And man, I had that fish on oxygen in just a couple inches of water, and that fish stayed alive from 8 o'clock until about 1 in the morning. I finally had to clean it, and it still bounced off the table. So this time of year especially, the fish are real hard to clean. This is catching. You know, as soon as you get it to the bottom, you're hooked up, or you're getting a bite instantly.
Really, how long do you fish into? You know, you kind of moved to striper fishing in the winter months, don't you?
I do. I like to striper fish in the winter months just to do something different. And I'm a redfish guy, but man, I love striper fishing. I used to chase them all the way up to Cape Cod and everywhere in between. But we have a pretty good striper fishery in the Cape Fear River in the wintertime. And I do really enjoy catching those stripers from November through about March. And then by March, I'm ready to get back on the flats again. The water's still clean and clear. The weather is usually, you know, about to break or has already, you know, broke, or, you know, warmer weather. So the striper fishing is a good respite for me in the wintertime, just to do something different. And I catch them in the summer too. I mean, I just had a couple trips a couple weeks ago where we caught them, you know, along with redfish early in the season. And that's just a bonus when you catch them, you know, early in the season.
You talk about a fight you've got on your hands. That striper's a mean fish.
Yeah, they are. They're definitely a great sport fish, game fish. And hopefully we'll be recognized as that, you know, in our state. Platt's boat, a mile and a half off the beach.
The 15th of November.
15th of November.
And we don't even need these sweatshirts on.
Don't need a sweater. I'm hot right now. Catching gray trout every drop. Nice gray trout. That's the thing about single hooks. You're gonna, they're gonna come off by themselves probably right at the boat or as soon as they get in the boat. Due to their soft mouths, they'll just open up a hole in that lip and those hooks will fall right out a lot of times. Especially on the big ones. The big ones you usually don't get to see. You get to tell a story about them. Because unless you got a net ready, and even sometimes with the net, you're going to lose some of those big ones. You got on some 4 to 5 pounders out here a couple weeks ago, didn't you?
Yeah, we really did. I tell you, we were just a half pound to a quarter pound off the citation fish, which is unusual to catch them. And we were catching them just like we're catching them now. Now that's unusual.
It is.
For that, I mean, I know you've caught a lot of, some of the biggest gray trout I've ever seen, but that was one of the better days I've ever had with grays.
Yeah, you and I talked about that. Those fish move through, there's different size fish. I think we have a fall run of those fish that come all the way, probably from up above the Chesapeake. And I think they're just moving down the shoreline with the mullet run like everything else. Because it seems like we get waves of them. You'll get waves of 12 inchers, 14 inchers, 16 inchers, and it seems like the same class fish are in those schools. You'll go out on these rocks and catch, a gazillion of them the same size, kind of like we're doing today. These are all like 16, 18 inch fish. And I'm not saying there's not bigger ones out here because I think there are. If we move around, we might find some bigger fish, but these are fun fighting size fish. But those that you're talking about are really rare, to catch.
That's really the first time I've ever caught them. That many fish in that weight class.
Double blued. We're in the good stuff. Might have to move the boat a minute. I'm not a big fan of the old little chopper blues. Snapper blues, right? Not choppers. Choppers are the big ones. Snappers are the little babies. I did. Right before I went to Georgetown for the children's tournament, I had a charter and we were catching speckled trout and redfish on a really tough day. It was 20, 30 mile per hour winds that day. And then we went into the waterway towards the inlet, and we found just schools of 3 to 5 pound bluefish, which my guys caught for 2 hours. I mean, we left it dark. It was so good. Two other nice fish right there. Hey, that fish was thirsty. I think he wanted some of that Michelob Ultra you got there. Pretty fish right there.
Look, man, they're still just. I'm sure the lips just made it a little sore, but other than that,
yep, they're good. And I mean, as soon as you get it down there, I've already gotten popped 3 times. I mean, they're just knocking the crap out of these jigs.
It's the first time I fished with you on this boat. I mean, I am impressed.
This is a cool little boat, man.
It really is. I mean,
It's very deceiving how it rides. This is my tournament rig. I'd normally be in my Shearwater or my Mako out here, but it was so nice. You and I were catching speckled trout inside, and it was just killing me. I mean, it was killing me when we came out here when I saw that ocean. I said, we got to get out there. You don't get many nice days like this in that rig. Usually it's blown up with that sea breeze by now. That is a nice fish. We caught quite a few of these nice gray trout today. It's a shame, man, but we're kind of limited, Even in your boat, you can stay out in a lot more stuff than I can in this boat, and even my other boat, but we're very limited on the days we can come out and do this, because it has to be relatively flat to do the jigging that we're doing.
and you want people to be comfortable.
Yeah.
You just don't want to. And that's one thing that especially with kids, is a lot of them, it's their first time fishing, you know, and saltwater fishing, and I just don't want them to have a bad experience that first time, because they'll never come back.
That's exactly right. You want to do what people want to do too. I mean, somebody doesn't want to come out in the ocean, I don't try to push it. If it's really nice, I'll let them test the waters if they want to try it. But a lot of times, you know, you just got to do what people, you know, request on that. But if you can get out here on a calm day, another bluefish.
You can get that, man. I had a great trout.
Did you?
Awesome, just like what you were just saying.
Yeah.
These bluefish are right in that column, above the bottom.
Yeah, that 3 to 5 foot mark, man, they're deadly on a jig. Great. Yeah, you and I were inshore fishing, you know, when we came out here. We weren't really prepared to do any nearshore stuff, but you can use the same rods and reels for these fish. We're only fishing in 30 to 40 foot of water. For jigging, we're using really light jigs, 1/2 ounce to 1 ounce. I don't think we're even using an ounce size jig. I think yours is 3/4, mine's 1/2. But it takes a while to get it down there, and that's a lot of times when you get in trouble with these bluefish. But usually I'd be rigged up with 4 or 5 rods with different size lures, and I'd probably be using a 1 ounce right now just to get through these daggers.
Sounds good.
That's good bait size for an amberjack right there. We did that last week, man, on a trip. That was so much fun in that clean water, watching those amberjack attack those 1 to 2 pound blues we have. I mean, we had some nice sized blues, and those AJs that we were on were in that 60 to 80 pound class. I mean, probably some might have been a little bit bigger than that, but
You better be geared up.
dude, we broke a customer had a custom fiberglass pole that we used the last time they had come, and had no problem with the 30 pounders. But a 60 and a 30 pound amberjack are 2 different things. And that 60 pounder, man, he smoked that 2 pound blue and snapped that fiberglass rod and almost pulled my customer in the water. So you've definitely got to be geared up, man. Those things are tackle busters. How many fish you think you caught in the last 45 minutes?
40.
Yeah, as soon as we can get it down there. One at a time. I mean, I'm getting hit every single time I'm jigging. But my jig is so light, I'm using such a light jig, that I'm getting hit, and it's floating up into that bluefish zone.
In that column, like you were
In
saying.
that column that I don't like. But if you can get it on the bottom and keep it there, it'll stay in the Grey Trout. Thanks, Hampton Inn. Hotel. Who knows, you might get a sponsorship out of that.
I don't know. They might put a different
Yeah, they might.
They would get something, but I don't think it would be a sponsorship. Might get a bill.
Yeah. Another pretty great trout. Tell us a little bit about your fishing background, Mark. I know you've done a lot of offshore fishing as well.
Yeah, through the years I've done a ton of it, and kind of burnt out on it a little bit. Started doing a lot more inshore fishing, and just love it. I mean, it's peaceful. There's no, I'm not fishing tournaments. There's a lot of stressed with it. You know, you're enjoying it.
Yeah.
It's just, and you're kind of enjoying the outdoors. That's the biggest.
You know, I like doing the offshore fishing. That's what I tell a lot of people. You know they're thick when you're snagging gray trout with a single hook. I mean, they're thick. They're getting a little bit wise to us, is all that is. But he was close enough that he got snagged by that hook. But getting back to the offshore thing, I tell people I love offshore fishing. I just don't like getting there or back. You know, I mean, going in and out, you know, with that, getting beat to death. And it doesn't matter what size boat it is. Sometimes you can be on a 60-footer and get your brain speed in, just like if you were on a John boat out.
There's no doubt
in
about it.
4-footers, you know. And that's the thing that Florida has on us, South Florida, you know, on the east side. They don't have to go as far.
You don't have to run 50 miles.
And then catch sailfish, dolphin, kings, everything right there. And it's cool, we get kings and false albacore and sometimes bluefin tuna in the winter, but on the average, you know, we got to get to the Gulf Stream to catch what we want to catch in the summertime here.
These are different than the metal jigs I fish with.
Those are Williamson lures. I think that's a Gamaku. Which one is that? No, I'm using the Gamoko. That's the Ganami jig. And that's just more of it's got a better flash. It actually has more of a profile. So you see how thin this bait is, kind of like a glass minnow?
Right.
That one would be more like a
herring
mullet
or
minnow or a bigger glass minnow, you know, some of these monsters you see out here. Or, you know, sardine. And they make them in all different sizes. I think that's the smallest size they make it in. That's like a 3/4 ounce. And they go all the way up to, I think, 3 ounces. I could be wrong on that. But this is the size that I mainly use because this is mainly what I'm doing is jigging in, 20 to 40 foot of water. And sometimes you'll see that they'll have a preference over one of these styles over the other. Today, I don't think it really matters. Today, you're catching trout on both of them.
It's like you said earlier, we weren't really prepared to do this until we saw how pretty the ocean was today, and I've never. Chad Mason builds these rods for me. This is the first time I've ever really jigged with these, man, and I'm gonna tell you, oh, that was a nice fish. I'm gonna have to let him know just how well they perform. Because you can, I mean, these are fast action rods, but they definitely been able to get them up off the bottom.
Yeah. I'm using my tried and true St. Croix, but a custom rod.
You can't pick those rods.
Yeah.
I still have one. I remember I tell a funny story like when Mark was born. He's 20, he'll be 29 in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I had bought myself a Father's Day present from him when he was 1 year old, and I bought a St. Croix rod from Tex, and I still have that rod today.
Man, that's awesome.
I'm surprised I don't even have it with me. Now that one I kind of keep to myself.
Yeah. Well, tell me a little bit about your son. He played college football at Carolina.
Played at UNC. Graduated with a degree in communications. We're real proud of him.
Local boy here, went to Hoggard.
Yeah, he played at Hoggard for Coach Scott Braswell.
Yeah, best coach.
Best ever high school coach in our opinion. We love Scott.
I tell you what, Hoggard's got another good team this year.
Yeah,
Didn't they beat Hanover 2 weeks ago?
Yes, they
Both
did, and I hadn't followed them that closely because I was down in Florida assisting Hurricane Irma victims, and so I didn't really, because I was down there for a month and a half, and I hadn't really had a chance to keep up with them like I normally do this year.
Yeah, last year it was North Carolina's turn with Matthew, and this year it was everywhere but here, it seemed like. So you were down assisting the hurricane victims down there, and that's a commendable thing to do. I mean, we had a lot of people that stepped up and went down to help in different capacities down there.
Well, this year was different, because you had not only Irma, but you had Harvey hit it, 2 weeks before it in Texas. Yeah, so it was kind of a double whammy.
And Cuba got pounded by one of them. And just a lot of
course, Puerto Rico really took it bad.
The Gulf was really active this summer for hurricane season. Thankfully, we didn't get any of that stuff. I'll tell you what, we've had enough of that stuff. I mean, I remember back in the early 2000s, they nicknamed us Hurricane Alley because we had so many storms hit us at one time, back to back to back. thankfully it's cooled off a little bit.
And just, are you still catching the grays?
Yeah.
I'm getting some more blues here. That was nice to know about. He was shaking his head.
Man, Mark, that was a hell of a day.
Wore out, man.
Yeah,
It really was one of the best days I've ever experienced great trout fishing. Just, it really was. Everything just kind of came together. We speckled trout fish first part of the day, and caught some nice fish, and then just ended up with a lot of rod bending.
Yeah, I mean, we were out there maybe 4 hours, and the entire time we were out gray trout fishing, it was catching. I mean, every
It was
drop.
catching today. That was for sure.
And you know, as you saw in the video, I mean, it was nonstop action. You'd miss one, another one would hit it. I mean, as soon as you got that line back in the water, the fish just seemed to follow us. You know, there's not many days that you can get out on a drift like we did today and come off of the structure and the fish were still under us because we weren't anchored. I had my trolling motor and it wasn't even on spotlight. We just had it on autopilot, you know, at a slow speed to kind of keep the boat, you know, into the waves like we were fishing. And it seemed like the schools were just following us, you know. And I've noticed sometimes that happens. You know, you get on a big school of gray trout like that, you keep them entertained with that jig. Just like when you're speckled trout fishing inside, you see a lot of fish that strike right at the boat. I think they're doing the same thing. They're seeing that jig down there. When one of us is hooked up, the other one is down with the other jig. And then when he gets hooked up, another jig's coming back down there. So I think it was almost like we were chumming them up with those jigs, you know.
That's what I was just getting ready to say. It really was just like I said, we were chumming with metal instead of you know, cut bait or live bait. But they did just seem to kind of move around.
Yeah.
Where a lot of times they're concentrated on that structure where the bait is.
Yeah.
Today they really, you know, I think there was just some large numbers.
Big numbers.
Yeah, I think they were just there, and and like you say, we really did stay on top of them, and probably could have for as long as we wanted to.
Oh yeah, we left them biting. I had to go get the kids, and I dropped you off back at your dock, and it was a great day catching. And the coolest thing about it is it's all artificial bait fishing. We were using single hooks, so it was easy to get the fish off. And this is something you can do with your kids and your family. And in the fall, gray trout are really easy to find if you know what to look for. If you go with, you know, Mark or myself, I can show you the ropes, and or he can show you the ropes. But it's really about finding that structure and finding the bait that they're on that day. Because man, as you know, we can go out there to 10 different spots like we did today, and we didn't find anything. And then we finally hit them, you know. And when we got to the spot that we fished, I looked on the sonar. I said, there they are. I mean, you can tell.
See them. You could, yeah.
You can tell the gray trout. Yeah, you know, when you find them. And this fall has been a little tricky. It hadn't been as good as it has in the previous 3 years, but you can't beat the day that we had. I mean, today we caught a lot of them, and that's what you can do a lot of years on, you know, one of 100 different rocks in that area. But this year it just seems like you'll find them in one area or two areas, and they'll be stacked up if you're lucky.
Well, and you do. Sometimes you have to work a little harder than other times, but I know, like both of us, we work hard at it.
Yeah.
You know, just trying to find the fish and what to look for, and not every day obviously is was as fun packed as today was, but you typically can always, you know, find them if the conditions are right.
Yeah, and if you don't find them, you'll find bluefish, black sea bass, sometimes Virginia mullet, pompano. I mean, you never know what you're going to find on this nearshore structure and rocks, and that's what the beauty of nearshore fishing is, man. And also being able to use this metal and not have to mess with shrimp or cut bait or live bait. You just go out, you drop metal over the side, and you catch fish. It doesn't get much easier than that.
And like Captain Randy said, we were not even really prepared to do that. It was kind of just a whim. We were, you know, really speckled trout fishing.
Yeah.
And
caught some nice speckled trout.
And caught some nice speckled trout. We sure did. But you know, that I knew Randy kept looking at the ocean, and it just was so calm. And So we took off and re-rigged, and we're ready to go in a matter of minutes.
Yeah. Well, guys, we appreciate you hanging out with us today, and hope you enjoyed that video. And we've got more to come. Take care.